There comes a moment when the Sigma male simply disappears. No warnings, no drama, no explanations. One day he's there, calm, reliable, quietly powerful, and the next, he's gone. Not because he's angry, not because he stopped caring, but because he finally realized silence protects what words can't. His disappearance isn't rejection, it's revelation. When he vanishes, it's not out of weakness, it's because he's outgrown the noise that once surrounded him. You see, Sigma males don't leave for attention, they leave for alignment. When they sense the energy shifting, when conversations become shallow, or when loyalty turns conditional, they withdraw into the quiet, a place where peace isn't earned, it's built. That's where their real transformation begins. And the world, confused by their absence, starts to notice what it once took for granted. That's the paradox. People understand their value only when they've disappeared. Before we dive into the truth behind the Sigma male's disappearing act, I want to pause for a second. 87% of you watching this right now aren't subscribed. I see the numbers, and honestly, it means a lot that you're here. If this message resonates with you, if it feels like I'm describing something you've lived, not just watched, please take 1 second to subscribe. It's the simplest way to help me reach our first 1,000 subscribers, and it means I can keep creating content that speaks to the quiet strength inside people like you. Don't click away just yet. Stay till the end of this video, because what I'm about to share might explain exactly why you've pulled away from people lately, and why that might be the most powerful decision you've ever made. Now let's uncover what no one truly understands about the Sigma male's silent disappearing act and the transformation that follows it. The emotional saturation point. Every Sigma male reaches a silent breaking point, not the kind that comes with shouting or slamming doors, but the kind that unfolds quietly inside his mind. It's the moment his emotional system simply stops absorbing what no longer nourishes him. After giving patience, understanding, and energy for so long without reciprocity, he begins to feel an internal overload, like a circuit carrying too much current. He doesn't explode, he shuts down. This isn't weakness, it's emotional intelligence disguised as exhaustion. His silence becomes the signal that he's seen enough, heard enough, and felt too much. At first, people mistake it for indifference. They don't realize he's been paying attention to every repeated disappointment, every hollow apology, every unspoken shift in loyalty. The Sigma doesn't react in real time. He observes, he processes, he waits until the emotional math no longer adds up. And when it doesn't, his soul begins the slow withdrawal from anything that feels counterfeit. The jokes that once felt warm now feel forced. The company that once felt safe now feels heavy. Conversations become noise. This is the saturation point, when connection no longer feels like growth, but like gravity. The most haunting part? No one sees it coming. Because a Sigma male doesn't announce his breaking point, he internalizes it. His disappearance isn't planned overnight. It's a buildup of countless small disappointments that piled up until silence felt like freedom. It's not about punishing others, it's about protecting the self. By the time he walks away, his heart has already rehearsed a goodbye 1,000 times. In that moment, detachment becomes liberation. The world will call it cold, but he knows better. He's simply reached emotional capacity, and what comes next isn't loneliness, but clarity. When a Sigma male reaches his saturation point, he doesn't seek revenge or closure. He seeks peace. And once he finds it, nothing and no one can pull him back into the chaos he's finally escaped. The unnoticed withdrawal phase. When a Sigma male begins to disappear, it never happens suddenly. It unfolds like a quiet fade-out in a dimly lit room. No one hears the door close because he doesn't slam it. He just starts stepping back, one conversation, one favor, one text at a time. What people don't understand is that this withdrawal starts long before his physical absence. It begins in his energy. He stops over-explaining, stops initiating, stops rescuing situations that drain him. The shift is subtle, almost invisible, but it's already happening long before anyone notices. He'll still show up, but he's no longer present. He'll still listen, but the warmth in his eyes is replaced by observation. Every interaction becomes a quiet test of authenticity. While others think he's distracted, he's actually calculating, measuring how often he gives compared to what he receives, how often he's understood compared to how often he's tolerated. And when those scales tilt too far, the withdrawal becomes irreversible. This phase is dangerous because it looks harmless. The Sigma doesn't argue or accuse. He just stops engaging emotionally. He becomes polite, distant, peaceful, the kind of peace that's actually preparation for departure. People around him may even feel relieved, thinking the tension is gone. But what's really happening is deeper. He's disconnecting from the need for validation. He's realizing he doesn't have to fight for space in places that can't hold his depth. By the time anyone realizes what's happening, it's already too late. The Sigma male has emotionally left the room weeks before his physical presence follows. His silence becomes his exit strategy. His calmness is not reconciliation, it's resignation. When he stops trying to be understood, it's because he's already accepted that he won't be. And when he finally walks away, people often call it cold or sudden, but they didn't see the 1,000 quiet steps that led there. The moments he smiled through disappointment, the nights he stayed awake analyzing what went wrong, the mornings he decided not to care anymore. The Sigma male's disappearance doesn't start when he leaves. It starts when he realizes his presence is being taken for granted, and by then, he's already halfway gone. Detachment as self-preservation. For the Sigma male, detachment isn't born out of bitterness, it's born out of necessity. After years of giving too much, understanding too deeply, and staying too long in draining environments, he learns the hardest truth of all. Peace costs distance. What looks like coldness to others is actually survival. He doesn't detach because he stopped caring. He detaches because caring too much was destroying him. When emotions become a battlefield, and empathy feels like exposure, silence becomes his shield. He once tried to fix everything, to make people understand, to bridge every emotional gap. But after enough disappointments, he realized that empathy without boundaries only leads to depletion. So he begins to guard his peace like a secret weapon. His detachment isn't avoidance, it's awareness. It's the recognition that some people don't want healing, they want access. And every time he grants that access, he loses a piece of himself. So he retreats, not to run away from the world, but to return to himself. People often misread this phase. They think he's indifferent or unfeeling. In reality, he feels everything. He just doesn't absorb it anymore. He's learned how to witness chaos without becoming part of it. Detachment allows him to see through manipulation, emotional games, and false intentions with terrifying clarity. The more he steps back, the clearer he sees who truly respects his energy and who only consumes it. This self-preservation mode transforms him. He becomes calm, unbothered, unreadable. The same people who once triggered his emotions now find themselves powerless. They can't provoke a reaction, can't guilt trip him, can't pull him into drama, because he's operating from emotional altitude. His silence now speaks louder than confrontation ever did. And while some call it selfish, the Sigma knows it's the opposite. Detachment allows him to show up authentically, no longer filtered through obligation or exhaustion. It's how he protects his empathy without losing it. In the end, his detachment isn't a wall, it's a filter. It doesn't block everyone out, it simply allows in only what aligns. Because when a Sigma male learns that protecting his peace means preserving his power, detachment becomes not loneliness, but freedom. The observation period. Before a Sigma male ever disappears, he enters what might be his most misunderstood phase, the observation period. This is where his silence sharpens into vision. He stops reacting emotionally and starts watching everything: the patterns, the tone shifts, the subtle inconsistencies between people's words and their behavior. To the untrained eye, it seems like he's distant or distracted, but in truth, he's downloading data, testing loyalty without saying a word. Every conversation becomes an analysis, every interaction a small experiment in truth. This is where the Sigma's psychological depth reveals itself. While others seek confrontation or closure, he seeks clarity. He studies how people treat him when they have nothing to gain. He watches who listens when he's quiet and who disappears when he stops giving. He doesn't need to ask questions. People reveal themselves through patterns. In his silence, masks fall off. He begins to see who truly values him and who only values what he provides. During this phase, he says less but understands more. He'll smile and nod, but internally he's already forming conclusions that will later guide his detachment. He's not seeking revenge or validation, only truth. Because once he knows the truth, he doesn't argue about it. He acts accordingly. And that's what makes him so unnerving to those who try to manipulate him. They can't read when he's already seen everything. The observation period is where emotional investment turns into awareness. It's when he finally steps out of the illusion of connection and into the reality of human nature. This shift gives him power, the kind of power that comes from not needing to react. The Sigma realizes that most people don't want connection, they want control. And once he identifies who operates that way, his presence begins to fade from their world without explanation. By the time anyone notices his silence, the Sigma already knows everything he needs to know. He's not leaving out of confusion, he's leaving out of certainty. Because when you see the truth clearly, walking away doesn't feel like loss, it feels like alignment. His observation isn't passive, it's preparation. The Sigma male doesn't disappear to escape others. He disappears because he's finally seen them for who they are. The power shift in absence. When a Sigma male disappears, it's not the silence that hurts people most. It's the sudden loss of access. His absence creates an invisible gravity shift. The same people who once overlooked his presence now feel the weight of his withdrawal. What they never understood was that his energy held the entire dynamic together. His calmness, his understanding, his emotional steadiness. It was the glue that made chaos seem manageable. It was the glue that made chaos seem manageable. When he steps away, that balance collapses. Conversations lose depth. Interactions lose authenticity. The room feels colder, even if he was never the loudest one in it. For the Sigma, this power shift isn't revenge, it's revelation. He doesn't plan it, but his disappearance naturally exposes dependency. The people who fed off his energy suddenly realize they were never giving, only taking. The ones who mistook his peace for passivity now see it was strength all along. And those who underestimated him begin to understand that the real power was never in his presence. It was in the effect his absence creates. In the quiet aftermath, the Sigma thrives. Absence gives him perspective, clarity, and control. He observes how quickly people move on or how desperately they try to pull him back. Both reactions are answers he doesn't need to ask for. His silence becomes a filter, revealing who respects boundaries and who only respects availability. Meanwhile, those left behind replay moments in their minds, trying to figure out when and why he detached. They'll say he changed or drifted away, but deep down, they know he just stopped tolerating what drained him. His withdrawal becomes their mirror, forcing them to face their own behavior. That's the irony. His silence teaches louder lessons than his words ever could. For the Sigma male, the power shift in absence is not about dominance, it's about reclaiming energy. Every step back is a return to equilibrium. Every quiet day, a reminder that peace is louder than chaos. He learns that he doesn't need to prove his worth. His absence proves it for him. Because when he's gone, the emptiness he leaves behind isn't just physical. It's emotional proof that his presence was never ordinary. It was the unspoken force holding everything together. The Solitude Reset. When the Sigma male finally steps away, he doesn't run to distractions, he runs to stillness. The world assumes his solitude is a void, but for him, it's a reset button. In that quiet space where no one's expectations echo, he begins to rebuild his inner architecture. The noise of validation, obligation, and performance fades into the background, and for the first time in a long while, he can hear his own thoughts clearly. Solitude becomes sacred, not loneliness, but detox. This reset is where the Sigma reclaims every fragment of himself that he unconsciously gave away. Every time he tolerated disrespect, every time he stayed silent in chaos, every time he cared more than he should, he lost a piece of his equilibrium. In solitude, he retrieves those pieces one by one. He reflects, not to overthink, but to understand. What patterns did he allow? What energy did he entertain? What part of his strength was mistaken for endless patience? These aren't regrets, they're recalibrations. The Sigma doesn't dwell, he upgrades. In this phase, his emotional world sharpens. He feels the exhaustion leaving his body as he sits in quiet places. No conversations, no noise, no pretense. Just him, his truth, and the lessons etched into his memory. He learns again how to be whole without external input. Solitude teaches him emotional self-sufficiency, how to generate peace without permission, how to validate himself without applause. The longer he stays in that quiet frequency, the stronger his presence becomes. This is why the Sigma's return always feels different. He comes back grounded, sharper, more untouchable. He no longer reacts, he responds, he no longer explains, he observes. His boundaries solidify, not from anger, but from understanding. People notice it, the way he speaks slower, the way his eyes seem to see right through facades, the way he radiates calm power without saying much. That's the Solitude Reset, in effect. Most people fear being alone because they meet their emptiness there, but the Sigma meets his power. In solitude, he doesn't lose connection. He reconnects with something deeper, his truth. Because when you learn to be whole in silence, no one's absence can ever make you feel incomplete again. That's not loneliness. That's liberation. A return with new boundaries. When the Sigma male returns after his withdrawal, he's not the same person who left. His silence wasn't an escape, it was a restructuring. The man who once tolerated energy imbalances now walks with an invisible clarity that can be felt before it's seen. He doesn't announce his new boundaries, he embodies them. His energy speaks before he does. And that's what unsettles people the most. They can sense that something has shifted. The access they once had is gone. The emotional shortcuts they once used no longer work. The Sigma has re-entered, but only on his terms. During his solitude, he learned that boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They don't shut people out, they simply decide what gets to stay. Now, every no he gives is grounded in peace, not defensiveness. Every silence is intentional, not passive. He doesn't argue anymore, because he no longer seeks to be understood. He knows his peace is worth more than anyone's validation. The Sigma's new boundaries are quiet but unshakable. They show in the pauses between his words, in the way he no longer explains his choices, in the calm confidence that replaces people-pleasing. The same empathy that once made him vulnerable now makes him precise. He feels everything, but no longer absorbs it. He sees manipulation coming before it arrives, and instead of confronting it, he simply disengages. His power now lies in redirection, not resistance. To others, his return feels cold, but it's not coldness, it's calibration. He's simply matching energy instead of overextending it. Those who valued his presence will find him warmer than ever. Those who took him for granted will find only silence. His time away taught him that peace isn't something to find, it's something to protect. And the only way to protect it is through boundaries that don't bend under pressure. The Sigma's return isn't about proving a point. It's about living one. He's no longer available for chaos disguised as connection. He walks lighter now, not because he lost people, but because he lost the need to carry them. His boundaries aren't revenge, they're evolution. And in that evolution lies a truth that only the healed understand. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is not let everyone back in. Peace over people. At the end of every storm, the Sigma male learns one timeless truth. Peace is the highest form of success. He no longer chases explanations, validation, or revenge. The arguments that once felt worth fighting for now sound like background noise to a man who has learned the value of silence. Peace over people isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's the understanding that not everyone deserves access to the calm you bled to create. For the Sigma, this choice isn't easy. He's walked through enough emotional chaos to know how tempting it is to keep fixing, to keep proving, to keep explaining his worth to those who never saw it. But every time he traded his peace for connection, he paid in energy, in focus, in authenticity. Now he knows better. He chooses distance not out of pride, but preservation. He's realized that protecting his inner world doesn't make him selfish, it makes him sane. This phase marks his emotional maturity. He no longer feels the need to announce his exit or justify his silence. His boundaries are quiet, but they echo through the lives of those who once tested them. He doesn't cut people off in anger. He simply stops entertaining what disturbs his equilibrium. The same world that once accused him of being detached now envies his serenity, because while everyone else is chasing attention, the Sigma is mastering detachment, the kind that brings freedom. He understands that peace is not found in isolation, but in alignment. It's not about avoiding people, but choosing the ones who bring calm instead of conflict, and once that choice becomes instinct, everything changes. The way he speaks, the way he moves, the kind of energy he allows near him, he stops reacting and starts observing. He stops explaining and starts existing. In the end, peace over people is not rejection, it's graduation. The Sigma has outgrown emotional chaos disguised as connection. He's reached a point where silence feels like wealth, solitude feels like strength, and peace feels like home. And when you find that kind of peace, no crowd, no chaos, and no counterfeit love is ever worth losing it again. In the end, the Sigma male doesn't disappear to be mysterious. He disappears to maintain his peace. The world may never understand the depth of his silence, but those who truly know him feel its weight. His absence isn't rejection, it's protection. And when he returns, he's sharper, calmer, and stronger. Not because he stopped caring, but because he started caring smarter. If this message resonated with you, take a second to breathe and reflect. How many times have you chosen chaos over peace just to keep someone close? Let this video be your reminder. You Don't owe your energy to everyone who demands it. Before you go, help me reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Because right now, 87% of the people who watch these videos aren't subscribed yet. If you're one of them, this is your moment to join our circle. People who think deeper, feel stronger, and walk silently with purpose. Subscribe to UltraWise, leave a comment below sharing what peace means to you, and remember, protecting your peace is the most powerful act of self-respect you'll ever master.